again. Welcome back to another edition of Arts and Ideas. I'm Sue Swinand. Today we are in the art room at the Spring Street Elementary School in Shrewsbury. And my guest today is Sally Lividini, who is the recent recipient of the Elementary Art Educators Award given by the Massachusetts Art Educators Association. And it's a great award, and we're so happy to have you with us and to know that you're in Shrewsbury and right here teaching our kids.
Oh, well, thank you.
So thank you for having us.
My pleasure. Yeah. Nice to have you in my art room.
How is that award selected?
Well, the teachers from Massachusetts have an association that's linked in with the National Art Educators Association. And we put on some events, including a Youth Art Month show at Worcester Art Museum for this young artists in central Massachusetts. And over the years I've helped with that, serving cookies and punch and helping to hang the show, and also providing some musical entertainment and things like that. So I've gotten to know a lot of the teachers in the state, and one of them nominated me for this nice award.
So it's peer recognition,
exactly.
And the peer nomination, which is very nice. And then I'm sure all the art educators get evaluated in their schools as well from different...
We do. Every year we have an evaluation process. It changes from year to year. But we do have a principal and supervisor, art education department supervisor, and they both come in and see what I'm doing and make sure that it's on track. We also have certain things that the state requires we teach our students, art concepts that we have to make sure is included.
So the state establishes a certain curriculum and concepts that you're covering?
That's correct. The state has certain art concepts they want us to cover, and it's up to us to decide how we go about that. As a district, we've gotten together, the teachers, the other elementary teachers, and our department head, and created a breakdown of how we want to teach, what we want to teach each year, and then it's up to us how we teach those concepts. And we've been trying very hard to incorporate other aspects of the school curriculum into our art lessons because we find that it really heightens the child's interest in art and also in their regular curriculum.
Sure, because using different types of thinkers, you know, different people think in different ways or learn in different ways.
Absolutely.
As you, I'm sure, are more aware than I. But so exposing them to the same concepts but through visual projects is probably wonderful. We'll show some of the projects in a little bit. I was wondering how you, did you train as a teacher? Was that your background?
I did. Went to art school at Carnegie Mellon and got my master's degree in education from the University of Pittsburgh.
In regular education? Or
art education.
Art education. Mm-hmm.
And from there, I taught briefly in Massachusetts when I moved here, and then because of Proposition 2.5, my position was eliminated, and then I went into graphic design for a number of years and did that. And then in 2000, about 2000, I decided I wanted to go back into teaching.
Okay, so what do we have here?
Well, this was some of my early work. These are some woodblock prints. I had done a series of women working. There was one for each day of the year. These are 4 of them.
One for each day of the year?
I'm sorry,
oh.
of the week. One for each day of the week. Starting
Monday wash day, Tuesday
Monday, ironing and shopping on Friday and washing the floor and making the pasta.
So we have ironing and
shopping.
And the bread making here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those are great.
And washing the floor.
Excellent. I love the graphic quality of these. I can see how you were a graphic designer. because the plane and pattern and the use of line and dark and light mass, it's really quite beautifully done.
I love teaching positive and negative shapes and space to my students.
And then you have a couple of watercolor there.
These are more recent. One nice thing that I've been able to do with other artists, teachers at my school, is go on little outings where we've done watercolor work.
Isn't that fun to go out and have a meditation in nature?
Right.
Nice.
Bob Wilson, who teaches at Floral Street, and I went out with another teacher and did this one at in Northborough, and this was done down on the Cape.
And then gouache.
Yes,
and
this
mixed
is
media.
Mixed media, gouache, and colored pencil. I was taking an illustration course, and the concept, of course, was the mending the broken heart. So as a teacher,
you're always taking courses, I guess.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the things that's so important as a student. You have to be a student forever. You have to be wanting to learn, and I think teachers are like that. They're sponges trying to pick up all the different new ideas and processes, and I love this piece. And what's the history on this one?
Well, this I did just recently, last year, with Donald and Schofield at the Worcester Art Museum. Our school system,
wonderful teacher.
Yes, and our school system has been very supportive of our arts program and the need for us to have professional development, just as you said, so we can increase our knowledge. And so we're allowed to take a course there, and the school system covers the cost of it. So I did this class, which was a collage class, but not regular flat collage, but 3D. And we did some different techniques, like a paste paper technique, which we used in the background on this. And
so
that
you created this texture back here with the paste by scraping
into the wet paint
with a comb, or
combs and little circular shapes and different things. You can even use a credit card. And then I was able to bring this back to my students, and I've used this last year, and I'm going to be using it again this year, doing these kinds of textured papers. This is another one in the background on the front. So it's just a wonderful technique that I never knew about.
It's like a book, too. You know, it really turns and reads in time like a book, where you get these 4 different images inside and out. And the idea of having 3-dimensional collage, it's more almost like assemblage, you know.
Exactly.
Assemblage.
Exactly.
But I like the little shells, and the colors are so beautiful together. And these are actually real bone associated with the illusion here. Very wonderful. So
this was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, and that must be an inspiration for your students too, to see real artwork that's, you know, in the flesh.
It's nice for them to know that their teacher is also producing work, and I think that's an important thing for them to understand.
You know, we were saying that the whole idea of art in the schools and how important it is, and I think that's something worth mentioning, because it is something that you have all through your life. It's not something you learn and then forget about. It's a way of looking at the world and a way of thinking. And, you know, do you find that it's really something, how would you explain that?
Yes. What I tell my students is, you know, even I know that not all of you will be artists, but you will be surrounded by art all your life. Everything around you has art involved in
it.
Design and patterns, and just to be aware of them, and the idea of being able to create, whether it's a computer program or a piece of art or a new concept.
Or to think outside the box.
Exactly.
To think outside the box.
To be the next Steve Jobs.
A lot of people say too that when they take art classes, all of a sudden they learn how to see. They learn how to experience the world and enjoy all that wonderful stuff there is in the world.
Exactly.
That some people walk by without ever noticing.
One of the nicest things for me is when a parent comes to me and says, we went to the museum today and my student was showing me the work and explaining it to me.
And really looking. So
Exactly.
it's an expansion of the mind, and Very nice, very nice. I want to talk more about the concepts, so let's look at some of the individual class projects.
Great.
Because I think to see how it incorporates into the curriculum and what they're learning in other classes is very important. So let's do that.
Great.
So this is the first grade work?
That's correct. This was a leaf design project I did with the first grade. They observed leaves, real leaves that I brought into the classroom, drew their own. We cut them out and incised them. We cut them out of foam and then incised them with a pencil, and then they printed them. And
so it's like a soft wood block.
Exactly, exactly.
The meat packing material.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then they used they used colored markers, drew on the little leaf, and then printed it, and overlapped the shapes and tried to get the idea of falling leaves. They're studying in their science curriculum. They were studying about nature and leaves and fall.
Trees and the seasons and
Exactly.
all of those things. That's lovely. And then you have other things. What about this one?
This was a project that we did just recently, and this is a little Mondrian interpretation. We were studying the artist Piet Mondrian, a Dutch artist who liked to use balance in his artwork. It was very important to him. So I found this was a wonderful tie-in with their science curriculum, where they're studying actual balance in nature. So we did this little project.
So the physical balance in the real science world, weights and measures, as opposed to the visual balance that would be represented in a two-dimensional artwork.
Exactly
so the balance
right.
of these darker valued colors and the idea of the three primaries
Right.
and the yellow being a naturally lighter value, having
We
a
talk
different
about
weight.
which is the lightest feeling color, which is the
Yes.
heaviest color, and which is the one in between, which of course is the red.
Even the mood that you get from the three different colors is something you can
Exactly.
talk about.
And then from there we go into a little one day lesson, just a little balance picture where they had to come up with images of things that are balanced. So this was sort of a circus theme with the elephant on his one leg and the tightrope walker.
I love that drawing. You know, so you're bringing in art history too, though, in all of these
Absolutely.
pieces, and looking at art from different periods, and that helps you study the period.
Right.
Or
Our
whatever.
next project is going to be a Caldor mobile.
Yes.
They made little mobiles learning the concept in science, so we're going to make art-inspired mobiles.
Again, balance and movement and
Exactly. This is a little thing that the first graders did where they had to mix two primary colors and come up with a secondary color in the process. And we did some of that paste paper type work, drawing into the wet paint, and then we cut it and wove into it. So this was a chance to learn about some weaving technique as well as color mixing.
So here we have second grade.
That's right. One of the first projects we do during the year is this little origami frog project. My students love this. This has become one of those things that I have to do every year because they look forward to it so much. We talked about warm and cool colors. We also talked about how frogs have to camouflage themselves if they're non-poisonous, and if they're a poisonous frog, they don't need to worry. So they created a background where their frogs could be hidden or on display, and of course you can tell right away which frog is the poisonous frog in this one.
Here's the poison guy.
Right.
And the protective coloration. There you go.
Yes. So
That's
they had
lovely.
a lot of fun doing this.
I'm sure they like making it in 3D. These are 3D
Yes.
too.
These are a little 3D. One of the concepts we need to get across to students is foreground, middle ground, and background, and understanding overlapping.
Which
And-
creates space.
Exactly. So to reinforce,
That's okay.
sorry about that. To reinforce that concept, I have them do each layer as a separate piece and then put them
Sure.
together. So that way they're sure to have a sky that goes down and touches the ground. They have things at the very front, and then they have something in the middle.
That
Doesn't always
to me,
happen.
was always the most remarkable thing is the way kids like to see the sky here and the ground here.
Exactly.
And there's nothing in between.
This is
So
an
I
ongoing
love the
problem.
way you have them fill the whole page.
Right, and we looked at the work of Van Gogh and how he used line and pattern in his paintings. So and had a mood in his paintings. So one of the things we did was look at that, and then we also talked about what kind of weather might be in this particular landscape or seascape. This one is a seascape. And that tied in again with their science curriculum where they're learning about the weather.
So this one would be more of a summer and this a winter.
Right.
Yeah, I love the stormy with cold sky in this.
Exactly.
Although she's got the green trees.
I know.
But it could be a fall storm or a spring
Exactly.
storm.
Exactly.
Spring
Storm.
Okay.
This one is a warm and cool color picture. And we talked about mosaic patterns. And they also were studying animals in science. So again, this tie-in with the science curriculum.
I just love these two. I think I would buy these. They're so cool. These are by the two different artists?
Two different children, yes.
So
this one goes.
So the material in this was a scratch paper?
It's a scratch board technique, but it's done on an acetate so that it's see-through when they're done.
So
and,
this is a thin, like almost like a mylar, and it's coated with a black that you
paint
comes that
kind
way,
of thing, yes.
and then you draw into that, and it picks up the color that's behind it, which to me makes it. Oh, I love these. I don't know why they're so physical with their material.
Right, and this was again, they were studying nocturnal animals, and owls are the school mascot. So
I didn't know that.
That was kind of an appropriate project, and we also read a little book called Owl Moon, which is about a little child that goes out owling with her father. And so we tied it in a little bit with the language arts and also with their science curriculum.
And again, the use of plain and pattern and
absolutely,
the really
that's
strong graphic quality in these.
And this is our art curriculum where we're teaching about pattern, texture, and the idea of scratching away the light part and what
even
exactly.
what nocturnal means.
Absolutely.
It's a way of expanding your understanding of the world.
Right.
Or the looking out and seeing the way the sky meets the land. You know, it's observation.
Observation.
Really
and that's
wonderful.
an important part of the curriculum is learning to observe from nature.
You know, another thing when you were saying about the school and having different concepts, you have those 4 words that you said the school.
Oh yes, we have a very strong school culture, and one of the things that we have are core value words, which are acceptance, dedication, support, and perseverance. So I often will say to the students, like when they were doing this project, which took a lot of time, we need to persevere. So we're constantly reinforcing those ideas.
So you think of those guiding principles that are words to live by.
Exactly.
Words to live by, and that the school keeps in their front of their mind.
Right, and you'll see out in the front hall, my husband and I, he helped me a lot with this, Joe Lividini, helped me
What's your husband's name?
Joe Lividini.
Joe? Joe Lividini.
He helped me put together tiles that my 4th grade students did the first year I was here. Each child made a ceramic tile with animals on it and letters, and we spelled out the core value words, and he assembled them into mosaics that are
I think that's a
displayed
wonderful
over
thing that greets people as they walk into the school and see this is what we stand for.
Exactly.
This is what we believe in. And those will last forever. They're wonderful.
They're terrific.
They're made of clay and glazed, and each little tile is ceramic and assembled as a mosaic.
What's nice is my students that were here the year it was done will come in and find their tile and point it out to their friends or to their siblings. So
that's great.
That was
now,
a
your
wonderful
husband
project.
actually helped with the another project you did also.
Yes, we did a big mural that the 3rd and 4th graders did last year. Each child was given a little tiny square that was a ½ inch.
So you took a picture
and cut it up.
and cut it up in little tiny pieces, and each child was responsible to reproduce.
They got their little piece, and they had to blow it up and recreate what they saw in that little square into a 6-inch square, I believe.
You know, that in itself is an experience in seeing the abstract shapes, as opposed to looking for an image and thinking that you see what's there, but you really don't.
Absolutely.
You see the image without realizing what the angle is,
and
or what the parallel
They
are.
also had to think about trying to recreate the color they saw,
right,
and increase the size to. There was some math skills involved trying to see.
It's a very analytical project.
Yes.
Because instead of looking at something subjectively, like, oh, that's a dog, you look at the shape of the fur and how the angle is in reference to the leg or the edge of the paper or whatever.
So they didn't know what their little piece was going to be. And then one weekend, my husband and I came in, assembled all the pieces together, and created a 6x7.
That must have been a
mural.
gargantuan job. Oh my gosh.
It was quite something.
When they all look sort of alike too.
Yeah, it came out really well.
Let's go on with a couple of other projects.
Okay.
What's this now?
Now this is all 3rd grade work.
Okay.
And let's start with this.
Okay.
Again, in the fall, they study about plants and things like that. We drew these from life in a way. We used artificial flowers, though. And we also looked at the work of Georgia O'Keeffe, who was a wonderful drawer and painter of floral pictures. But she did use artificial flowers as well, so that was kind of true to her way of working. So the children did these, and this particular project, which is Square, was part of a fundraiser we did for the school called Square One. And these works were sent in to a company that reproduces them on bags and calendars and all kinds of different things.
And the company's called Square One, if anyone wants to look it up online.
Exactly. And it was a really nice fundraiser because the parents get something that their child has done on a plate or a mug or something like that. So
I love that concept.
Great idea.
I like that piece, too.
Right.
Now
This was a little printing project we did. The children printed 4 trees that they cut out of cardboard, and then we took those trees and created different seasons. And again, this tied in with their science curriculum, where they were talking about how trees grow and the seasons and how it affects the trees. As an art teacher, we were looking at, I was teaching them about how trees actually grow and branch, and looking at the formation of the trees, and
the structures.
The structure. I brought a real branch in, and they could look at it and draw from that.
I like the wind passing over the top of that in such power of the winter session.
And this is a little tessellation project. We talked about the work of M.C. Escher, famous surrealistic type artist, and in this one, they've recreated they've used a repeating pattern. And then after they've drawn that pattern, they try and figure out what they're going to make of it. And in his, he made some beautiful little swans here. It's a very nice piece.
I like that idea of the interlocking shape.
Yes, yes.
With the flip-flop of positive and negative. I love these tiles. Oh, they're so wonderful. Tell me about these.
These are a project I'm doing with the students this year in 3rd grade, and these are going to be actually a border on a larger mural that the 4th grade is going to do. So again, it's going to be a cross grade level project.
So here we have 4th grade?
That's correct. These are 2 different little projects. This one was based on the crystal structure, and they had to create 3-dimensional shapes out of paper and put them together to form either a static
So the crystal study was their science work.
Exactly. And then we were talking about dynamic and static compositions and using shapes to create a sculpture. It's also learning about cones and pyramids and some of the geometric
forms.
Shapes. Correct. Yes. And this little project was a project that tied in with their immigration work. They had to make a little sculpture using wood. They also could do a painting or a pastel. For that project, we looked at the work of Picasso. They're studying immigration in 4th grade, and we talked about what it felt like to be an immigrant, and they tried to express that feeling in some of their.
At this point, it will be
right.
Nice.
They tried to express their feeling about what it would be like to have to come to a new country if you might not like to, or maybe it's a very happy thing that you're happy to get away and come to a new place.
But maybe feeling isolated and
exactly.
I love the way this references Picasso's blue period. That's
right,
great.
Right.
And it even looks like Picasso's profile.
Doesn't it? I know. I love it.
There's also a very melancholy kind of you know, the shapes in this are somewhat ominous, and
I love this one. I
just
think she really
blue period
captured a feeling and an emotion.
Yes, it is. It talks about what art really does.
Exactly.
Is communicate our experience of the world, and this one too, having that cubistic connector
right.
to Picasso's cubistic
this
period.
This is a collage, which was one of the media that they could work in, and. We talked again about trying to express a feeling through color and emotion.
So you have the stable and the dynamic. These are great. I'm afraid that's about all we have time for. But it looks like you have a wonderful program here, and you must get good support from your leadership here.
I have amazing support from my principal, my supervisor. The other art teachers in the district are amazing. And of course, the parents at Spring Street have been incredibly supportive of everything I do. I do an art show with all the students' work in the spring, and the parents help me to get it matted and hung, and help me to put on a little reception that day. And it's
again, as a resident in Shrewsbury, you can come in and see that show, right?
Absolutely.
And see what the students are up to. It's quite enjoyable and enlightening as well. Well, I'm afraid we're going to have to stop there, but thanks so much for
thank you.
Coming and showing us this work. I know it was an effort, but I'm glad you were able to join us today, and we hope to see you again next time for another edition of Arts and Ideas. Thank you.